Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Joy from She Speaks Too. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe. So today I'm still taking you guys along with me in Ghana. This day we're going to be visiting the Elmina slave castle. We were originally going to go to the Cape Coast castle, but someone told us, a native of Ghana told us that this one would be bigger, more to do, and we could have done both because they were not that far apart, but because we had Sienna and because it's so emotionally taxing, we didn't want to do two in one day. So we chose the Elmina slave castle. This castle was originally built by the Portuguese and used as a port for basically slavery. I read one time that we should stop saying slavery because we have been so desensitized to the word, and so it just kind of means labor or something like that. And really, they were taken as hostages. They were, when you say hostage situation, it adds to the brutality. So they were taken as hostages and sold as animals, basically. So let's not, sometimes when we say slavery, we've gotten so used to saying slavery, it does nothing to us. But when you say hostage, it adds to the harshness. So anyway, we went to this castle. It was about 3 hours away from East Legon. It was definitely worth the travel. Our car did break down and we had to fix it. We left like at 7 in the morning. Our car broke down. It took 2 hours to fix. But let me just tell you, the people in Ghana are so hospitable. We were on the side of the road. There was a house and there was a lady who had the house saw us standing up, the women, and she called us over to her porch, let us sit, got us some drinks. And when we were leaving, we wanted to give her a little something and she refused. And I just said, wow, people of Ghana, just a blessing, just a blessing. Love that country. I love that country. That could be my second home. So anyway, let me get into this vlog and I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, it's a very emotional experience. You get chills walking through what your ancestors, and your neighbors, your Ghanaian neighbors, slaves from all over were brought to this port. You get chills just walking through that place. So here goes. So we saw a Burger King, and you can't sleep on Burger King's breakfast. That croissant breakfast is good, but unfortunately this Burger King doesn't open until like I think 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So breakfast was off the table. So we were disappointed. So this is where we broke down. We had to get a mechanic just from around us. Never met the mechanic a day in our lives. He got us on the road and up and running in about 2 hours. And then these are just scenes going to Elmina, just scenes from the road, because I was just curious to see what it would look like just heading that way, 3 hours away from the main city. And this is us approaching the castle. We are now in the Elmina city, and this looks really like a port city, just how I would imagine a city that is close to the ocean would be. So here we are approaching the castle, and I have to say, even to be 3 hours away from the main city, the streets were really good. We didn't have much trouble. And as you approach the castle, it looks like a thing of beauty, but it contained so many horror stories, as we will get into. We had a tour guide kind of go over everything that happened. So here we are. Here's the front entrance of the castle right here. Yeah. So at the front entrance, it says St. George's Castle, Elmina. So you kind of have to walk down in order to go through the main entrance. And this is the narrow entrance to get in the castle. It just kind of gives you chills walking in there because you know that people were held here. So this is the middle section of the castle, and while we were there were school children taking a field trip, which I think is very important. So this is just the middle place of the castle. Kind of looks like a church when you look at it. So while we waited on our tour guide, there was a little kind of tiny museum that you can go in and get more information about Elmina, about the people, the environment, artifacts that were found. So it was a little place that you can get some self-education while you wait. Here are some artifacts that were dug up, more artifacts here. And these, of course, are shackles. How horrible, how painful. This little section is called the impact of European contacts, and that's just a nice way of putting that women were assaulted and there were mixed race people because of that. So there are people that are of lighter skin, and they do have people still that have Portuguese last names that live in Ghana because of this contact. As you can see, it says multiracialism. Here is our tour guide, who was very knowledgeable about the area, so we had a good one.
On the plaque. In 1992, we had a program in Ghana we called PANAFest, an African Historical Theatre Festival. So after the first celebration,
this was just a memorial to the brutality of slavery, and it says something like, may it never be perpetuated again, and may these ancestors finally rest in peace. So this first room is where officers would go if they misbehaved, and misbehaving was getting drunk or even sexually assaulting a hostage, and they would be there for only a couple of hours. It had air, it had light, it was breezy, not a lot, but enough windows for ventilation. So keep that in mind, and I'll show you where they held the slaves that misbehaved or hostages. As you can see, the officers' dungeon had ventilation. So this is where the male slaves were held. No ventilation. They weren't given food, they weren't given water, and they were left to perish, and they had enough space in the doors for where the officers could peek in and see if they had perished. They would pull the body out and then just do it again. I believe this was the main holding cell for the men, and they would just be here in their own waste. They slept here, they used the bathroom here, they ate there. So there you have it. Now we are approaching basically the point of no return, and this is where the slaves went, or hostages went, in order to be put on boats. The slave exit to waiting boats. I mean, it's just like dark and dreary, and you just feel sad. We weren't allowed to film the point of no return, but people have been setting up memorials and bringing wreaths in order to honor their ancestors. So before the sea receded, it was closer, and the boats would be right at this door, and that's when they would be put on the boats, and they would never see their families, their loved ones, their friends again. This was virtually the point of no return. Now we're entering the female dungeon. All these walls are so narrow, so scary. So the women would be down here, the captain's quarters were up there. He would have the officers line women up, and he would pick the one that would spend the night with him forcibly. Yeah.
so Clive, they opened the gate for her straight to the bedroom.
So I don't know if you guys caught that. He says that the women would climb upstairs, they would open the gate for her, and she would go straight to the captain's bedroom.
They don't want to have sex with them.
Whatever they say, some ladies were very strong. Fighting the soldiers. Whatever they say, fuck off. Insulting them.
Okay, and this was also where they kept aggressive women who wouldn't comply, women who fought back, women who assaulted or hit the officers, which they were in their right to do, but this is where they kept them to subdue them. So now we're going to the very spacious and nice captain's quarters. All that was for one person.
Data sent to ships while in the ocean. The equipment of Air Center was also brought here for 1 year. Data is to ship.
This is where the soldiers would come and overlook the ocean. There are cannons there in case they had to attack. And if you didn't think about the horrors, you would see that this view is breathtaking. You can see the city, you can see the ocean. From here, just a nice overview of everywhere. And these people actually had the nerves to have a church above the female dungeon. So this was a church where they worshiped regularly. And this was the governor's kitchen, bigger than the dungeons, I think. So this is us at the end of our tour. We could barely muster a smile. We were kind of sad. Sienna tried to smile in this picture, but it even took a toll on her. But I do believe that this is a must-see for everyone. It's a must-see for your children to educate them, so these kind of horrors and atrocities are not repeated. And I'm glad that I went. I'm glad that I finally saw this point of no return, to kind of get a perspective of what happened. So kudos to the Ghanaians for maintaining this in order to educate and teach others. This is Joy from She Speaks Too. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe, and I will see you later.